Hey y'all, I'm BGM or Bigger Gayer Magic, and a few weeks ago on live deck building, we were building Sen Triplets with the saltiest cards that we could come up with using viewer suggestions. And the 9 cards I'm about to talk about are all suggestions from viewers during that Sen Triplets live. So thank you so much if you participated, and we do live deck building at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays EST if you want to come suggest some cards for another build. Without further ado, let's get into these salty suggestions. We're starting off strong with the 7-drop mono black demon called Herald of Leshrac. This thing has a tiny 2/4 body, but they are not going to stay small for long because every upkeep, we're going to yoink one of our opponent's lands, and when we do that, this thing's going to get a little bit bigger, and it's going to keep grabbing more and more real estate from our opponents because it's on a cumulative upkeep trigger, meaning that we're going to steal more and more land from our opponents every turn. But we're starting off with Herald of Leshrac on this list, because this card, mercifully, will return the stolen land once it dies and leaves the battlefield. So thank you, Dream Demon, for this upsetting real estate theft demon. Gabriel Conti suggested a lot of upsetting cards during our Sen Triplets live, but Overburden isn't one I'm familiar with, and this 2-drop mono blue enchantment says that whenever a creature card enters the battlefield, that person has to pick up one of their lands and put it right back into their hand. This thing will shut down a Yorick player, the Mother of Machines player, the ETB attracts a player. This is what this thing is great for. But if you're just slamming it down in the middle of a casual commander game, you're gonna force people to have a bad time if they're in a creature-based strategy. Something notable about Overburden, though, is because it says creature card, it doesn't count tokens. So that's at least merciful. Thank you, Gabriel, for all the heinous suggestions during the live. I appreciate it. Mindslaver is a 6-drop colorless artifact with a 4-mana activated ability to sacrifice it and gain control of an opponent during their next turn. So you can burn all their interaction, attack your other opponents, destroy their plays, destroy their game field. The possibilities that Mindslaver opens up are endless, and most of them feel really bad for the target. But notable about Mindslaver is that you will have to watch the Mindslaver player do this to you, and you will have to watch them slowly figure out how to have you have the worst possible game experience. And for those reasons, Mindslaver feels kind of bad to me, because it's like a very slow, very annoying, oftentimes you're getting up and switching seats with people. Not a big fan, but undeniably a very salty card, so thank you, Jacob, for this great suggestion. As a fan of good old conventional Christian combat damage, I really hate to see Ensnaring Bridge hit the battlefield, because this thing will shut off combat for any creatures that have greater power than the user's number of cards in hand. Hate to see it, but this thing is a favorite among non-combat win condition decks, and it fits in all of them because this thing's colorless. I really hate to see it, so ew, Tiny Bones, for suggesting this, but thank you for the suggestion, Tiny Bones. You really understood the assignment for the salty cards. Void Winnower is a card that I say the name of and feel my blood pressure raised just a tiny bit, because this 9-mana $30 noodle monster says that your opponents can't cast even CMC spells and that their even CMC creatures can't block, and this includes tokens, because token CMC is 0. I have never seen a Void Winnower hit the battlefield and not immediately become a massive problem for me personally. And for those reasons, Equinox, you did a really great job suggesting this. I am thoroughly upset. Good job, Equinox. Empress Galina is a legendary 5-drop mono blue merlady with an activated ability to pay 2 blue mana and gain control of target legendary permanent. And in a format like Commander, there's going to be plenty of great bags to grab. And this one was suggested by Corvold, so thank you so much. Empress Galina goes really hard if you can put some illusionist bracers on her, maybe copy up the ability with the Transform engine, or untap her and do it again. This one, personally, gets a pass from me because I, too, loves cuddling up with small creatures, and so does this lady. Reins of Power is a 4-drop mono blue instant that has you swap creatures with an opponent, except your creatures that you are getting are all gonna get haste. So if your opponent has a game-winning board state, you can yoink it with Reins of Power and then kill them with it because you're gonna give it haste off the Reins of Power. This thing means that you can spend your whole time building a game-winning board state of creatures, and right before you're able to swing with it, the Reins of Power player can plop this thing onto the battlefield, give all of them haste, and just get you got. This thing can lead to the game ending unexpectedly, and extra feel bads if you kill the people whose board you stole. Very great suggestion. Fruit Loops, thoroughly upsetting. I've been hosed by this thing multiple times. Static Orb, Winter Orb's less aggressively costing cousin, says that no player can untap more than 2 permanents at their untap step if the Static Orb itself is untapped. But don't worry, the player who's running this in Winter Orb probably has a way to tap and untap it so that they can have a full God-intended untap step and deny you all of yours. This thing is really great at stopping your opponents from taking meaningful game actions. And I don't know about you, but when I go out to play Magic, I want to play Magic, and these cards prevent you from doing that, in my personal opinion. So Geki Nomu, great job. I don't know if you can tell, but this card is thoroughly salty for me. Smokestack is the namesake for Stacks decks, which is the Drake archetype that wins by stopping your opponent from taking meaningful game actions. This thing gets an soot counter every upkeep its controller sees, but every upkeep your opponents see, they have to sacrifice a number of permanents equal to the amount of soot counters on the Smokestack. And if they don't have non-land permanents to sacrifice, your lands are permanents, and they gotta be sacrificed. This thing is a staple in OG proliferated Traxa decks, a staple in Stacks decks, and where I've usually countered it is the proliferated Traxa deck. But Smokestack, in a way, feels fair, because it also affects the player that's playing it, and most of the time, the player playing it is able to keep up with it by sacrificing tokens or putting the permanents they sacrifice to the Smokestack back on the battlefield. When I see Smokestack hit the field, I normally just accept that I'm going to lose and that I'm going to have a bad time while doing it. So thank you, Fruit Loops, for another thoroughly salty suggestion. Alright guys, those were the 9 cards that I found the saltiest among the viewer suggestions from the live. What cards did we miss? What cards should have definitely made it onto this deck list? Alright guys, thank you for watching until the very end of the video. I really appreciate it. And as a reward and part of our contract, you may now put your forehead on the glass if you would like to receive a forehead kiss. Thank you so much for watching my joyous nonsense. I really appreciate it.
Like and follow for more bigger, gayer magic.
And as always, the biggest, most special thank you to my patrons who helped me produce this joyous nonsense. Thank you so much. You're the very best.